All right, welcome guys. Happy Wednesday. We have a nice 10-game slate to go over. Got a lot to talk about. So let's just jump into what we know so far for today. And again, going over from last night, we already know Donovan Mitchell's out, which makes those other Utah guys look really, really good. Lonnie Walker out, Kyle Lowry out. That is pretty significant. That catapults Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam to two of the best plays of the slate. Pochesky is out and Ty Jerome is questionable. If Ty Jerome is out, the Thunder are going to be pretty shorthanded. I think value guys like Kenrich Williams, maybe a Svi Mikhailuk get a pretty significant boost. Jaylen Brown is available to play for Boston. And let's see, what else do we got here? Norman Powell's continuing to start. Nurkic is still on a minutes limit. So honestly, that Blazers team is a team I don't really like that much. Wayne Ellington out. So the Pistons, a couple of value guys we'll talk about with those guards. And John Collins out for Thursday. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Let's just jump into the team-by-team breakdown. Again, if we look at the Vegas odds, let's see. Where are the highest over-unders here? So Sacramento and San Antonio sitting at 230.5 over-under. That's currently the highest of the day. Yeah, no like crazy over-unders. All right, so let's start off with Portland and Detroit. Again, kind of hinted Portland. Just I don't really like anyone on the slate. I don't think we have to go to anyone. I think there's better mid-range plays. I think there's better spend-ups than Dame or CJ. I'm just going to be passing. I'll make it pretty simple. I have interest in no one. I have interest in absolutely no one on Portland. On the Detroit side, as weird as it sounds, is a little bit different. So not really looking to the top guys that much. It's really the value guys. So no Wayne Ellington. He started, I believe the last game he played like 20 minutes. He played 21 minutes. So a couple of value guys I think are interesting here. Saben Lee, 4-3. He's been starting. Should get mid-20s minutes, maybe a little bit more without Ellington. Again, that's just one less body in the rotation. So a little bit interested in Saben Lee. And it's kind of gross, but yeah, Corey Joseph has played 29 and 24 minutes in back-to-back games. He's been pretty solid. Good matchup. So those two Pistons guards I think are intriguing. And then you can look to Diallo as well. Diallo's got the upside. He's also pretty up and down. So don't mind Diallo for tournaments. Again, and then Saben Lee and Corey Joseph. It's weird to say, but those guys are in play, I think, on the slate. What's going on, guys? All right, so let's move on to Miami and the Pacers. Another game I have basically no interest. Still no Oladipo, still no Kendrick Nunn. Doesn't do much for me. Butler, Bam at the top, priced about right. I'm not playing Hero. Dragic's playing limited minutes. And there's no one. If I had to pick one player, it would be Jimmy Butler. I just don't think we have to go there on the slate, though. On the Pacers side, it's kind of the same thing. Fully healthy, basically. Sabonis, Brogdon both had big games last game. That was against the Wizards. This is against one of the best teams, defensive teams in the league. So it just crosses game off for me, in my opinion. Dallas and Boston, another game I think goes a little bit overlooked. Luka Doncic as a contrarian spend up I kind of like. I think, again, people are going to look to maybe Giannis, Harden on the slate if they're spending up. I think Luka will go overlooked. He's still got upside, and I think he's a good tournament play because of the fact that I think he will come in at lower ownership. Porzingis is fine for tournaments, but with Luka in does take a hit, and that's really what I got for Dallas. No interest in the value guys. On the Boston side, so Jaylen Brown being in that 100, I was never even considering Fournier, but 100% cross him off. Not really interested in Kemba. Brown himself, if I'm going to spend up, it's going to be Tatum. Now, I don't think Tatum's a must here, but he's a guy that should play 38 to 40 minutes, or the minutes are there. A guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Normally has a pretty high floor. So Tatum's the guy for me in Boston, and then Robert Williams too, 6.7K. So Robert Williams played 32 minutes the last game. If the plan is to play him over 30 minutes, then I have more interest in Robert Williams. So again, good point per minute guy. I think he's a good tournament play. And that's what I got for Boston. All right, guys. So that's 3 games up, 3 games down. Where we're at right now, almost 200 viewers, 48 likes. Appreciate that, guys. Let's try to reach 100 before the end of the show. That does help me out a ton. Go Blue, even after that loss. Yeah, that was tough. But yeah, you can't miss layups like that. We missed like 3 or 4 layups down the stretch. Settled for threes at the end. It was a tough game to watch for sure. Houston and Brooklyn. Let's see. We don't have John Wall news yet, do we? We're still waiting on that. That actually is pretty significant. Diagnosed with a sprained thumb for Zion. Does that doesn't mean he's gonna miss any time, does it? I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. All right, so Still waiting on John Wall news. If John Wall plays, I actually kind of like him as a contrarian play. It was a huge letdown for me last game. But again, this is a fantastic match against Brooklyn. You could definitely stack this game. This game looks appealing to stack. We got value on the slate, some mid-range guys. You could definitely do like a Harden Wall stack if you want. So keep an eye on John Wall news. If John Wall is out, that makes Kevin Porter Jr., in my opinion, one of the better plays in the mid-range. It's going to be him and Christian Wood, the number 1 and number 2 on offense. Kevin Porter Jr. hasn't done a lot recently. He's been a little bit banged up. But, when he had basically the offense to himself, he's shown he's got upside. And this matchup, right? So, I do like Kevin Porter Jr. a good amount if John Wall is out. And then keep an eye on whoever else they start, right? Maybe there's an outside chance DJ Augustin moves in the starting lineup. He's played 20, 24, and 20 minutes last 3 games. He's actually been a pretty solid piece off the bench. So I think he's an intriguing value play that is going overlooked in the slate and looks a lot better if there's no John Wall. And then Christian Wood at 8-3, another play I kind of like for tournaments, especially if Wall's out. Again, he's just going to have to be the do-it-all guy, him and Kevin Porter Jr. in a great matchup. If the Rockets have any chance of keeping this game close, it's those 2 guys. So if John Wall gets rolled out and you're playing James Harden, I think roster construction-wise, it makes sense to run it back with either Kevin Porter Jr. or Christian Wood. Because the only way Houston keeps this game close is a big game from probably both those guys. Probably both. So, roster construction there, if you're playing Harden, might make sense to run it back with one of those guys. And then, Olynyk priced up. The only way I'm playing him is if he starts. If he comes off the bench, I think we're only going to get about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I don't really want to go there. He's been great playing the center position. Obviously would get a downgrade playing the 4, but if he does start, I think those minutes probably continue to be around 30 to 35. So, keep an eye on that one. On the Brooklyn side, just at the top 2 guys. Harden, it's going to be popular, I think. Revenge game narrative, great matchup. The only risk here is blowout. Blowout risk. Houston's not a good team, especially if John Wall is out, so that is the concern. But if this game stays close, Harden could be in for a massive, massive game. He's gone for almost 80 back-to-back games. With that being said, like I said, I think Harden's going to be popular. Kyrie's going to fly under the radar. I do agree. Harden is probably the more optimal play. He's the safer play, even though he's more expensive. But Kyrie can still go for 60. And he's going to go overlooked in the slate. Don't mind him for tournaments. And there's just absolutely nothing else I'm touching on the Brooklyn Nets team. Okay, let's refresh again. What else do we got? Anything? Lamb ruled out. Not much. Okay. I see some Rashawn Holmes talk. Yeah, I'm actually debating playing him, which means you should definitely avoid him. All right, now we get to a really interesting game here. Utah and Memphis. So no Donovan Mitchell. You're going to want to load up on the Utah Jazz today. Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, 3 of the best plays of the slate, and it's not close. Absolutely love all 3. Conley gets a massive usage boost without Donovan Mitchell. Should play about 30 to 33 minutes. Love Conley. Love Joe Ingles. Going to move in the starting lineup. Going to play 30 to 35 minutes probably. And then Clarkson out the bench is going to shoot the ball a ton. So like all 3, let's see, what do we got here? John Wall is out. All right. That is, okay. So I'm curious to see what Houston does to the starting lineup. Okay, now we just got it. So Porter Jr., Brown moved in the starting lineup with House, Tate, Wood. All right, so I wonder what are the Vegas odds now? They probably took it down now that John Wall got ruled out. Let's see, where are we at here? 13-point spread. So this game now, let me circle back here. This game now really does, the blowout really does increase. But hey, if you are playing James Harden, I think the clear run back here is Kevin Porter Jr. at 6K. Really like him now playing the point guard with no John Wall in this up-tempo game. I don't know if he's going to be super popular. As I always say, people are going to look at that box score. They're going to see 11. They're going to see 33. They're going to see 20. They're going to avoid Kevin Porter Jr. I think, again, if this game stays close, it's going to be him and Wood. So I do like Kevin Porter Jr. a good amount now at that price. And yeah, Sterling Brown is starting at 4.7. It is a fair play. Fair play. I think if I'm going to punt, I'm actually going to go DJ Augustin. Even though he's going to come off the bench, I think we get around 20-ish minutes. Around 20-ish minutes from him. So if I'm going to punt with one guy in Houston, it's going to be DJ Augustin. But yeah, Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood at the top. I like them both now. There's risk, though, right? This game is risky. And on the opposite side, it makes Harden, it makes Kyrie risky. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to take that risk? If this game blows out, if you play a couple players in this game and the game blows out, right? Get the shovel GIF, shovel your money into the fire. That's what you're doing if this game blows out. So you absolutely need this game to stay close. If it does, though, again, I think it has a ton of upside, especially on the Houston side with the pricing on KPJ. But back to Utah. So, yeah, safer plays in my opinion. Conley, Ingles, Clarkson, love all three. Again, they're three of the best plays of the slate. Gobert's role doesn't change much. Fine option. I'm going to prefer the guards / wings. Bojan, I never played Bojan Bogdanovic. Royce O'Neal's viable because of the price of 4.2. Probably get around 30 minutes, but would rather get to the other three guys I mentioned. I think just have a lot more upside. On the Memphis side, so keep an eye on Grayson Allen news. Grayson Allen questionable. Justice Winslow out. If Grayson Allen is out too, then there's a couple of viable value plays actually. It's DeAnthony Melton and Desmond Bane. DeAnthony Melton is a guy that is, sure, a little bit up and down, but we've seen some pretty big games from him. So I'm intrigued by Melton if there's no Grayson Allen for GPPs. And then I think Desmond Bane would start. If he starts, he's a decent cash game play. Again, not a great point per minute guy, but we probably get 25 to 30 minutes. So it's Bane, it's Melton for value, especially if Grayson Allen is out. JV, yeah, if you want to game stack it, we know the Utah guys are going to be popular. If you want to run it back from one of the main stars, that's fine. But neither really stand out. All right, so let's move on to Toronto and OKC. And again, the Toronto side, with no Kyle Lowry, Van Fleet, Siakam, both look really good at the top. I think, like the Utah guys, really safe plays with upside. Both these guys, Van Fleet and Siakam, as long as the game stays close, and it should play close to 40 minutes. So really like Van Fleet, really like Siakam. They're going to be popular. And again, I think it's for good reason. Love them both in a good matchup. What's the spread here? Let's see. 7.5 point spread. A slight chance of a blowout. But yeah, I think they're good plays. And even OG Anunoby. Anunoby's fine too. He would be the third guy in. If I'm prioritizing two guys in Toronto, it's Van Fleet. It's Siakam. But OG would be the third. Not super interested in Gary Trent. I mean, you can go there. He'll probably play mid-30s minutes. He's just got to hit his shots. And I guess I'm kind of a little bit tilted when I played him when he was chalk and did nothing. So I guess he's all right. But I think the guy I would actually rather take a shot on in this range would be Chris Boucher at 5K. So when Lowry was available, when he played last game, Boucher only played 16 minutes. But when Lowry was out 2 games ago, Boucher actually played more, played 24. Again, the minutes always fluctuate with him, but when the minutes are there, he will most likely produce for you. So if I knew Boucher was going to play 25-ish minutes, I would really like him tonight. And I think there's a decent chance he does. Now, again, there's no guarantee, and that's why there's always the risk involved with Chris Boucher, but that's what makes him a good tournament play is if you do guess right and the minutes are actually there for him, he could crush for you. And yeah, you can punt with Rodney Hood if you want. Low usage guy, but probably plays around 20 to 25 minutes. Not something I love. On the Thunder side, talk about Moses Brown. I think I'll avoid him again. It's just a price thing. I know the upside is there with him. I think he's an okay GBP play, but it's just I need the price to come down a little bit more. So if he's gonna be popular again, like I said, I'm probably gonna look elsewhere. Maladon and Roby in the mid-range. I think I'd rather get to Roby, who played 34 minutes. Didn't play a ton at the 5, but a guy that can do it all. So I think he's a fair play in the mid-range. Also, again, no Poisheski. Probably a little bit of boost to Roby. Keep an eye on Ty Jerome, too. If Ty Jerome's out, they're going to be thin. I'm assuming with Poisheski out, I think Kenrich Williams starts. If Kenrich Williams starts, I'm assuming we get at least 30, I would say. And if he gets at least 30 minutes, then Kenrich Williams is actually a really good value. So I do like Kenrich Williams. I think Svi Mikhailuk, especially if there's no Ty Jerome, he'll play over 30 minutes. Viable value play, a little bit more reliant in the scoring. So if you're going to ask me between Svi and Kenrich Williams, who's safer, it's Kenrich Williams, assuming he starts. Assuming both start, Kenrich is safer. He does more of the peripherals. You can go to Svi, but again, a little bit more reliant in the scoring, which makes him a little riskier. And then Josh Hart's been in this rotation. He's super cheap. Not a great point per minute guy. I mean, they're just thin, so maybe Tony Bradley plays a little bit more. I'm most surprised he only played 14 minutes. I thought he would push for around 20-ish. So again, you can take a dart in him and maybe hope he plays those minutes because he's a solid point per minute guy. But where my main interest lies is, especially if Ty Jerome is out, is probably Kenrich, then Svi. I think Roby is a safer play too. And I don't mind Maladon, but there's so many good guard plays. I would rather get to the Utah guards at a similar price than Maladon. All right, where are we at here? 4 games left. We're at 300 viewers, 80 likes. Appreciate that, guys. So I'll try to reach 100 before the end of the show. Thank you. Let's get it, Matthew. I joined that big $100 tournament, whatever the one where it's like 100K to first. That's the only one I'm doing tonight, like the high dollar one. If you're in that, I'm not sure, but the one where it's like the March Frenzy finale. I joined that one. All right, let's talk about New York and Minnesota. So New York, Randall, I think, is a decent spend up. It's a good matchup. Not a priority for me, but I think he does go a little bit overlooked in the slate. He's had a couple back-to-back bad games, but one was against a tough defense. One was just a floor game for him where he shot terrible. Barrett and Burks, no thanks. Keep an eye on Derrick Rose. If Derrick Rose plays, I actually think he's a pretty decent value play. 26, 29 minutes. I would think we get 25 to 30 from him. So, yeah, a little bit intrigued by D. Rose if he plays. If he misses, probably Alfred Payton quickly become a little more viable, but still I wouldn't feel super comfortable with either because they will kind of split the minutes. All right, let's move on to Minnesota. So not much interest in Edwards and Bees. I mean, you can take a shot there for tournaments, but New York's been pretty solid defensively. The one guy that I'm a little bit intrigued by is Cat. I think he's going overlooked in the slate. I know New York is solid defensively, but I don't think that the individual matchup is that bad against like Noel or Taj Gibson. I don't think he's a matchup against Randall too much. So yeah, I could see getting into Karl-Anthony Towns in tournaments. Again, I think he goes very overlooked in the slate. And then Jaden McDaniels for value. He had a big game last game. He did have 4 blocks and 1 steal. But the good thing is the minutes, right? 33, 36, 38. So I'm thinking we get 35 minutes from Jaden McDaniels, which makes him a fair value play. A safer value play. I don't think he's going to kill you if he plays 35 minutes, but I don't know if he has insane upside. So yeah, McDaniels is a guy that we can look to for value. Sacramento and San Antonio. This is a game I liked. I mentioned that you could stack a couple sites ago, and it ended up working out really well if you did it. I think it's stackable again. The highest over under the slate. De'Aaron Fox. Again, the price points, people are going to overlook him. I still like De'Aaron Fox. He's going to play 38 to 40 minutes. A guy that can do it all, and he's been on fire recently. I do like Fox. I do kind of like Holmes, so fair warning. If you're playing Holmes, you should not play him because whenever I have interest or whenever I consider Holmes, guarantee foul trouble. So, the reason I like Holmes is the upside, right? He's got 50-plus fantasy point upside, and he's shown it, like, basically, if you look at, like, his last, like, 8 games, he's gone for, like, close to 50 in, like, 4 of them. So, like, the upside is there, but also the downside is there with the foul trouble. So it's kind of like a Chris Boucher thing, right? If he stays out of foul trouble, or not exactly Boucher, but if like the minutes are there and he stays out of foul trouble, Holmes has a good chance of having a really nice game. And if the minutes are just there for Boucher, he will probably get you there. So those are 2 good tournament plays, but there's risks involved with both. Barnes, healed, no. Halliburton, a safer option, should play 32 to 35 minutes. Had a nice game last game. I don't love the price, but I could see there if going there if you stack it up. Last guy I'll mention is Terrence Davis. If you need a dart throw for tournaments, 18 minutes last couple games. He's a good offensive player. He's not afraid to shoot the ball, but not something I feel super confident in. On the Spurs side, I think all 4 of the main 4 guys, so DeRozan, Murray, Pirtle, and White, are all in play. DeRozan should get 30 to 35 minutes, is their number 1 in offense. DeJounte Murray, a guy that has triple-double upside and should play against similar minutes. Jakob Pirtle, I think, goes a little bit overlooked in the slate. He had a big game last game. He should get about 30 minutes. Again, like the matchup here. And then Derek White. I think we get similar minutes. So those top 4 guys are all viable. I don't think any are priorities for me. I think for a cash game lineup, you want to focus on Utah. You want to focus on the Toronto Raptors. But don't rule out these Spurs. I never have I never feel great playing any San Antonio Spurs. But again, I like the matchup here a lot against the Sacramento Kings. So those 4 are intriguing. If you want to get super risky and take a dart and Gorgie Jang, it's his first game. We don't necessarily know his role. I think he'll play the backup 5, and I think he'll play 15 to 20 minutes. But that's not guaranteed. So yeah, Jang if you want to get really risky in tournaments because he's actually a good point per minute guy. All right, we got about 15 minutes left. Let's see, 2 games left. Any more news here? Because Zion is questionable there. We got the Houston starting lineup. Let's finish up with Milwaukee and the Lakers. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 10-5. I think is a good spend up here. The Lakers, I don't think anyone can stay with him. Should play mid-30s minutes. I know he's been bad recently. I know. I think this is the get-right game for him. I hope. So I think Giannis is actually a really good spend up in the slate. If you think he continues to struggle, then sure. You can look to Milton. You can look to Drew. Nothing else I like on Milwaukee. On the Lakers side, so they did add Andre Drummond to the player pool, but he's at 7-8. How many minutes does he get? I think what happens there, he's starting. I think Gasol's out of the rotation. I think Drummond probably plays a fair guess of like 20 to 25 minutes. I don't think if he was like in the 5K range or mid 5K range, I would actually have more interest. At 7-8, I'm just going to take a wait and see approach. I don't think it's worth the risk. Harrell completely crossed him off. Kuzma, Schroeder still viable. Both those guys should play 35 to 40 minutes, and they're going to be main reason of if the Lakers keep it close, those two are why. And there's nothing else I like in the Lakers. Finally, Chicago, Phoenix. So late game here, and we do have a couple pieces of news we're waiting on with Levine and Kobe White. If they're both out, Satoransky, I think, becomes a good value play, but the tricky part is this is a late game. So you could play it like I mentioned with the Clippers last night. I was like, hey, you can build your lineup and hope for Paul George is out, because if he is out, these value plays are going to look really good. And then if you did that, you even got luckier because Marcus Morris ended up getting ruled out. So guys like Luke Kennard, I got at low ownership. Terrence Mann was low owned. Reggie Jackson low owned, right? So you can take a shot here because people are going to take the for sure value in other games. But if both those guards are out, I think Sato becomes a good value. Vooch would be the number one on offense. I'd be okay with him as a tournament play. And then like whoever starts for Levine, right? If both Levine and Kobe White are out, I'm not sure who they start. I think, Patrick Williams actually becomes a little more viable for one. And like, do they move Troy Brown in the starting lineup? Does Denzel go into the rotation because Temple's doubtful too? Like, I don't know what they're going to do. So keep an eye on that. If both those guards are out, again, it's Sato for value. It's Vooch to the top. Patrick Williams, I think, would become a good value play. And then whoever ends up starting for Levine. On the Phoenix side, all guys that are viable with no standouts here. Booker, Paul, Ayton, all fine plays. Booker for the upside. Paul's been, down a little bit recently, but it is a good matchup. Again, I'm not really looking at Paul, though. And then DeAndre Ayton at 6'6". The price is slowly ticking up. I think it's close to about right now, and I don't love the matchup here, so just kind of a secondary play. Jay Crowder's last guy I'll mention because I think he's actually a safer play. We know we're getting out of Jay Crowder. We know we're getting about 30 minutes. We know we're probably getting about mid-20s, 20 to 25 fantasy points, maybe upside of like 30. Again, he had upside game last game because he hit a shot, so that's really what I got there for Phoenix. So let's refresh one more time. We'll go to some questions here. All right, where are we at? We're good to go with updates. Let's do it. Throw those questions in here. Boucher and Randall or O'Neal and Giannis. It depends where you're playing, right? I wouldn't touch Boucher in a cash game setting. So if you're playing cash games, it's the second one. First, for GPPs, though, I think I like the first one better. Is Drummond 5.2K a lock button on FanDuel? No, but that makes him way more in play. Way more in play on FanDuel. Again, I would say we get 20 to 25 minutes. I think it's a pretty fair guess from Drummond. We'll see. Maybe he plays more. Maybe they just run him out there for like 30 minutes. And then if he does, he's going to crush for you. The value plays are so tough tonight. So this is a slate where there's a couple viable guys below 4K. I don't think you have to go there. I don't think you have to go stars and scrubs in the slate. I think this is setting up for actually the more balanced build. There are so many good plays in the 5, 6, 7K range that I don't think you have to go there. Now, you can get one star. You can go one star and then balanced. I think that's kind of the optimal build tonight, in my opinion. Lee or Rose? I'll say Saban Lee right now. Do you like, because Rose is a question, but do you like a Randall Cat stack? It's contrarian. That's not the first stack I would do if I'm stacking 2 stars. I could see it working out, right? Randall, I like the matchup, and Cat has been phenomenal recently. But yeah, it's a contrarian stack that I think is in play, but again, not the first one I would look to if I'm building like a stack. Thoughts on Augustine, Kevin Porter Jr., Ingles, Siakam, OG, Clarkson, Doncic, and Ken Williams for tournaments. Okay. Again, so you're using Augustine for value. He's probably the value guy I would still like the best on Houston, like I said. I do like Kevin Porter Jr. a good amount with no John Wall. Again, the risk there is the blowout, so that is a risk. You're playing Luka. I think if you play KPJ, you're hoping that game stays close. Maybe you go Harden there instead of Luka if you can get to him. Again, I think it makes sense to run Harden, Kevin Porter Jr. together, or Kyrie, Kevin Porter Jr. The only way you're with Harden and with Kyrie, the only way they're going to smash is if the game stays close. The only way the game stays close is either Kevin Porter Jr. or Christian Wood, and it's probably both. Probably both of them have big games if the game stays close. So I like that. I like that pairing a lot for tournaments. The Kevin Porter Jr., Harden, or Kyrie stack, or you can throw Wood in there too. Boucher and okay, I already mentioned that. Are you playing Harden? I don't know yet, honestly. I don't know. What I do know is I'm definitely playing some Utah guys. I'm definitely playing some Toronto guys. I'm still messing with my build. So it's not, I always kind of wait a little bit. Like I have a preliminary lineup, but I will move some things around. And obviously I'm not going to, build my lineup while I'm on stream. Robert Williams and Wood or Holmes and DeRozan. Cash game, neither are cash game options. So if you're playing cash, I wouldn't do either. For tournaments, both are risky. I might lean the Holmes DeRozan one. I think DeRozan's sneaky. I think DeRozan's a sneaky play that's going overlooked. And it's just because kind of why I played Gordon Hayward last night was, hey, he hadn't had a big game in a while. DeRozan, look at this, right? 27, 33, 39, 31. He's kind of, just playing all right, not playing great. We know he's got 50-plus fantasy point upside. It's there. This is a good matchup. People are going to box score watch. I kind of like DeRozan as a contrarian play tonight. Again, I think people will. I always talk about it, but the recent box scores. That's why Gordon Hayward is low owned last night. Diallo, it's a pretty big risk, but he's fine. Yeah, he's got upside for sure. If a player gets 1.5x points, who to choose, John Timmer or Sean Holmes? I'm not sure exactly what I mean, but I like the upside more to John Timmer than I do Holmes, I think. I don't know. It's pretty close. I would say Murray's a little bit safer just because of the Holmes foul trouble. Would you play Tim Hardaway? No, I'm not. I personally don't like anyone on the Mavs besides Luka. I wouldn't play Avery Bradley either. James Harden, Kevin Porter Jr., Joe Ingles, Pascal, Holmes, Sato, Royce, and Tony Bradley. All right. Again, Bradley's a pretty big risk because he only played 14 minutes the last game, but hey, he's a good point per minute guy. Maybe plays a little bit more. We're looking at mid-range. Yeah, the mid-range for sure. If I play Kevin Porter Jr., do I have to play Harden? No, you don't. I think Kevin Porter Jr. might still play a little bit in the blowout just because he's a young guy. So I don't necessarily... I would say it's the other way around, right? If you're playing Harden or Kyrie, I would for sure play one of Kevin Porter Jr. or Wood. If you're playing like Kevin Porter Jr., I don't necessarily think you have to play it with Harden or Kyrie. So you don't have to do that pairing, but if you're playing one of the Nets guys, I would. 4,200 for utility, looking between O'Neal, Melton, Joseph, or DJ. Yeah, it's a tough one right now. Like, I think if Grayson Allen gets ruled out, Melton intrigues me because he's got the upside, right? And, is Grayson Allen for sure out? Okay. Let's see. Ty Jerome out. Grayson Allen out too. Okay. Yeah, so I think Melton's a pretty interesting value play now. I do. Thunder starting Maladon, Svi, Kenrich. So Kenrich is starting. I think Kenrich is a good value. The Thunder are thin. The Thunder are a thin team tonight. I don't know how many healthy bodies they're going to have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's their starting 5. Bradley 6, Josh Hall 7, 8, 9. So they're going to have a 9-man rotation. I don't know if like Darius Miller or Justin Jackson play a ton. So yeah, I think Kenrich Williams is a very safe play now. I think Svi is a guy that probably plays over 30 minutes. So I'm intrigued by some of those Thunder guys. Definitely intrigued. Yeah, Clarkson or Conley. Clarkson's got a little bit more upside. Conley I think is a little bit safer. DJ Augustine in play. Yes, he's more contrarian though. I think with the news coming out now, like I would rather get to other value. I'd rather get to the Thunder guys. I think I'd rather get to D'Anthony Melton. Yeah, balance for sure. Harden, Cash. My only concern is the blowout, right? So it's like if you're confident the game stays close, then yeah, I think Harden's a great spend up. But that's like a really like might even be a greater than 50% chance the game blows out. So. It's just a tough call. It's just a tough call because of that. Favorite center, it depends what range you're looking at, right? There's, let's see. At the top, guys, it's Giannis for me. Mid-range, I think Siakam, if you play him at center, is a really safe play. I like Holmes for tournaments. I think Jakob Poeltl is actually a pretty safe play with some upside. Boucher, I like a lot for tournaments. Value, I don't know if there's much value. You can take a dart and Gorgie Jang, but we haven't really seen him, or we haven't seen him yet for the Spurs, so that's a pretty big risk. Yeah, so that's it. Noel, nope, not for me. Yeah, Melton or Lee. Saban Lee, I think, is safer. I think Saban Lee is safer than Melton. So Lee for safety. If you want to take the risk, though, Melton does have upside, right? DeJounte Murray, Jaylen Brown, Jingles, Brandon Clark, Kristaps Trent. I don't love it. I just don't. I mean, Brandon Clark's all right. I'm not really looking to Kristaps. I don't like playing Gary Trent Jr. So there's a few guys that I don't love in that. Can you play all three? Yeah. Best cash game center at 9,800 or under. Ooh. So I think with Randall versus Towns, that's close. I guess I'll go Randall because he's got the better matchup of the two. I know they're going up against each other, but it's just a better matchup for the Knicks. So give me Randall there. Thoughts on cash game lineup? Conley, Kevin Porter Jr., Ingles, Siakam, Wood, Lee. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that build. Harden versus ABC. My answer is Harden if you think the game stays close. If you think it's a blowout, then obviously ABC. So that's just a tough one with Harden right now. Now, I do think that's going to lower the ownership on Harden, which I think does make him a good tournament play. DK, how would you differentiate tonight for tournaments from someone who rarely takes risks? Also, the crazier recommendations, the better. How would you differentiate tonight? It's a little bit tough. Like, I think you don't get too cute is what I'll say. Don't, fade the Utah guys. Don't fade the Toronto guys. Play the chalk. But, get different in one or two spots is usually my approach to going to playing GBP, at the high dollar GBPs at least. Thoughts on Conley, Clarkson, O'Neal, Giannis, Siakam, Van Fleet? I think that's a good lineup, yeah. Thoughts on Kevin Porter Jr., Van Fleet? I'm not really looking to Sadiq Bey on this slate. Yeah, so Spurs-Kings game. I like De'Aaron Fox. I think Fox and DeRozan are the safest options. And then Holmes, Pirtle, I think are the guys that Holmes has more high risk, high reward. Pirtle, I like a good amount. So those are the four guys I look to probably first. And DeJounte Murray. Those are the five guys I think that I like the best in that game. Thoughts on Roby and Pirtle? Yeah, so Roby I think he's going to play mid-30s minutes. The Thunder are thin. I think he's a safe option. And then Pirtle, I also think plays about 30 minutes, like the upside. McConnell, no. All right, guys, one more minute, then I'm gonna call it. So thoughts on Conley, Clarkson? Okay, I already answered that. You guys got some good lineups. So you're taking a shot on Holmes. Holmes strictly a tournament play. That was actually, I think that's my lineup right now, Tommy. But I'm probably gonna move some things around with that John Wall news. I don't know. We'll see. Can I play Porter and Wood without Harden? Yes. It's the other way around, right? If you're playing Harden or Kyrie, I would play one of the Houston guys. Like into Fox, yes, contrarian play. He's going to go overlooked again. Yeah, Towns or Randall, flip a coin. If you're playing a cash game setting, it's Randall. For tournaments, so Towns will go low owned. Ingles, Clarkson, Conley. Yep, I think you can play all three together for sure. Will Drummond smash if he plays the minutes? He's a good point per minute guy. I think a good guess is 20 to 25 minutes. If he plays more than that, then yeah, he could crush. KBJ, Sterling Brown, Ingles, McDaniels, Wood, Harden, Kenner. Okay, it's a little bit risky for sure. 100 likes. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Moses Brown or Wood? I would rather get to Wood. Luka or Harden, can't decide. Up to you, right? I think if you're building for safety, I think, it's good to avoid Harden. So, but then again, it's like if that game says I don't know. I don't look at ownership, so I'm not exactly sure what Harden's ownership is going to be. If he's going to be like the chalk, then just play him. If he's going to be like the chalk, just play him like everyone else in cash. If he's going to be low owned for cash games, then I don't think it's worth the risk. Then I want to go somewhere else. But if he's popular, just follow leading cash games, right? Mark my words, right now, do not play Holmes 7,500. Yeah, so again, the risk with Rashawn Holmes is foul trouble. Foul trouble. The price is not amazing too, but he's got the upside. The upside is there, but the floor is low. So high risk, high reward play for sure. Thoughts on Jayshawn Tate? Not for me. Yep, yeah, you can do that. 8 available for the Thunder. Is it only 8? I thought it's on 9. Let's see. So this will be the last thing we'll go over, and then I will get out of here. So Bradley, Darius Miller, Josh. Okay. Justin Jackson. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9 players. 9 players. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Good luck to everyone. I will see you all back here tomorrow, and have a great night.